What is going on, all you awesome superhero aficionados? This is the Heroes and Mutants podcast. I'm Nick with my co-hosts Jimmy, Eric, and Ruben. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, subscribe to us on YouTube, brought to you by Higher Passion Entertainment. And before we get started, we just wanted to give a very special shout out and a happy birthday to one of our own, Eric. His birthday is today.
That's right.
Happy 31st birthday, my man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Man, happy
Thank you. Like, how awesome is he to take time out of his busy day when he could be traveling the world or doing something spectacular for his birthday, and he's here just talking about all things superheroes. So how awesome is that?
Yeah.
So before we get started for today, there's some interesting development that's gone on. We actually got our first look at the Justice Society from Black Adam in that Super Bowl promo that they did for DC. So we saw Hawkman, we saw Cyclone, Dr. Fate, and Atom Smasher. What did you guys think of their designs? Is that something that's giving you guys more faith? And is it something that is very faithful to these characters from the comics?
I don't know about faithful, but I was super excited to see Hawkman. Like that costume looked pretty legit. And
that was.
The only other live action Hawkman I've seen is the one from the Arrowverse. So
yeah,
there's not much to go off of. But
not really.
This one seems like, I don't know, man. It's pretty intimidating, especially since I just finished watching the World War II Justice Society, the animated movie that came out last year. And Hawkman's in there, and I loved how they portrayed him. So hopefully we're going to see a similar portrayal. I just thought it was really cool. And not only that, but Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate is like perfect.
Picture perfect.
Right?
Bond of our childhoods.
I know, right?
It's just funny to me too, because that's something I had mentioned at the very beginning when it was announced that he was cast in this movie, was that he was on the short list for Batman 89 for Burton, but he backed out because he said that he couldn't take someone seriously who wears their underwear outside of their clothing. So I find it funny that now, 30 plus years later, he's in a comic book film.
Times have changed. People forget.
Oh, of course.
Batman 89 came out. Other than Superman, they weren't really much of a proven thing. So
not really.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Now they have to take him seriously. So it's a different
exactly.
Field. Yeah.
Well, what did you think about our first look at the Justice Society, Jimmy?
I'm excited for it. I don't know about faithfulness, but
yeah,
it's a big ass.
For it regardless, just because I think it's same reason as Eric. I want to see Hawkman. It looks good to me. I'm pretty excited for this new upcoming. I just found out right before this podcast, and I watched the Super Bowl. I must have commercial, so I just barely found out right before this podcast, and barely had to look at the trailer before we started.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good thing to mention.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, I guess I'm excited for it just for the reason that it's something different, that we haven't seen in, like with DC movies or DC shows, whether animated or animated, they've always done it all. But I'm talking about our old school, when we grew up watching. So it's pretty cool. I did like Hawkman the best. I'm not gonna lie. He had a pretty cool, I don't know, outfit, I guess you would call it, the superhero. But yeah, I'm just excited for what's to come. Like you said, the whole faithfulness is too, I don't know, you can't put it on it just like that, I guess, just yet. But I'm excited for it because I said it's something different, and I hope they don't mess up on it. That's all I gotta say. Because it's DC, and DC tends to do that, but they're going a new direction. So hopefully, I want them to, I ain't gonna lie, I want them to keep it consistent, keep us intrigued, I should say.
Yeah. That was the cool thing about that too, that they're introducing the Justice Society as far as live action movies, because obviously we know that anybody who knows anything about lore and comics knows that they predated the Justice League. So, and there was a lot of characters, rich, who had a lot of stakes and a lot of interests, and to have us have some kind of insight into that and paying homage to something that came before the Justice League, I think is really cool, especially when you have characters like Hawkman and Dr. Fate, some of the best known, and Dr. Fate is one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe. So to have him have his time and have his spotlight, I think is really cool, especially you have really good actors and really good cast. As far as the costuming goes, they're pretty, although Hawkman, he has a little bit of hints of red in there, so that was something that was a little bit different. Dr. Fate looks pretty spot on. I'm hoping that he has his eyes, though, because in the trailer that we had, the shot that we had seen of him, he didn't have his eyes, so I'm like, hey, that's a little bit weird. Cyclone looked pretty cool. Atom Smasher looked probably the most faithful in terms of actual comic faithfulness. But they all look pretty well. I'm more intrigued on when is the time placement gonna be, because if it's supposed to be a modern, it makes it seem like it's gonna be a modern setting. Obviously, we know the Justice Society existed in like the 50s, but in Shazam, we don't hear anything about him aside from little snippets. He doesn't know anything about Black Adam. Billy does, but I'm just hoping that because if they were trying to say that it took place in the past, that wouldn't exactly line up. Like where was Black Adam all this time? So they would, in order to write themselves out of a hole, they would probably have to do it to where it picks up in like 2022 when he's reawakened or something. But pretty excited for this movie.
It's an eternal situation. Where the hell were you this whole time?
Exactly. If it says that he was around in like the 50s. The way that it seemed like when they first were doing like their plot and conceptualizing it, it seemed like it was going to take place in the past, but then you run into those issues on, well, where was he this entire time? And Shazam, Billy, when Shazam granted the powers to Billy, where, he have came around? Like there's like those kind of questions that come up. So I think it would have to take place like in a modern setting.
Yeah, it could also, I mean, we have Flash coming up. It could also be an alternate universe, right? That all this is happening in, and then I don't know, something, he gets pulled into the Shazam's universe at the very end, right? Like that's totally possible too.
Could be something like that, especially we know that both these companies are leaning into the multiverse, and especially with Sony, they got their own thing going on. So I don't think it's gonna. And obviously with Michael Keaton coming back, that's going to be taking place in like another universe. He's also going to be the Batman in the Batgirl film. So I guess it wouldn't really be too crazy to think that he could, like, this Black Adam movie could take place outside of the DCEU.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. And there's also another movie that got a trailer and a lot of hype going with it too was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Got a pretty crazy reveal at the end and could be hinting at something for the future. Well, what did you guys think of this trailer, especially because it seems to be playing on Wanda could be taking up the mantle of an antagonist in this?
Yeah. I don't know, I'm just super excited about Professor X. I think the first time I watched the trailer, I didn't catch that. I did catch that there's like chairs, and then someone said we should tell him. So immediately I thought probably the Illuminati, but also I thought of the what are they called? The Kangs, the Council of Kangs.
The Council of Kangs.
I thought of that too, just because of where we ended with Loki. So I was like, maybe it's like the council, and he's been brought up to the council because of jumping through multiverses. We know they're going to touch on the multiverse, so that was really cool. I don't know, there's just so much going on in this whole trailer, but I think that specific clip from that scene, it just brings a lot of like, it just makes your imagination go wild, right? Definitely. And like, there's so many different directions they can go with this. Yeah.
Especially because that really leans into all of that was one of the biggest rumors that came about this film from the very beginning. And a lot of people were saying, oh no, that's not true. To actually have a full confirmation of that, but also all the other rumors that were going on with it, as Tom Cruise could be playing an alternate version or variant of Iron Man. He could be Superior Iron Man from what people are saying. Obviously, Hugh Jackman coming back, Ben Affleck cameoing as Daredevil. All of those rumors really seem like they have some kind of relevance to it and have some kind of thing attached to it now, or some kind of small confirmation going on with it.
I mean, I think they kind of have to like really go all out with it, because for a couple of reasons. Spider-Man No Way Home already
open the doors for it.
Yeah, it kind of set a certain bar.
The floodgates.
Yeah,
what doors?
Really, the floodgates. But to have your next movie after that play directly into the concept and then put the title into the Multiverse of Madness, I think it would be a cheat if we didn't get all of this Marvel mania. I'm mostly excited to see how the X-Men, or what they're going to do with the X-Men and how they're going to incorporate it.
Oh, I was going to say, did you see, there's this one clip when they're like jumping from portals to portals, because honestly, what's her name? America Chavez is in it, so she creates portals to go through different universes.
Yeah.
One of the portals is a cartoon portal.
I did see that. Yeah, you're right. I
and
noticed
it
that.
shows
That's
on the other
awesome.
side was like a cartoon street and a traffic cone, and Doctor Strange was either falling through it, like into it, or out of it, but his cowl was turning into like a cartoon.
Cartoonish. See, I feel
So
like that's how Peggy Carter could come
no,
into it, or all those what if.
maybe, but especially since we have the X-Men series coming out, right? Which
Very
is
true.
which is a Disney Plus cartoon series. I'm like, what if this is how like the X-Men like fall into the universe?
Into the universe. But then you know what also reminded me of when I saw that cartoon thing of Across the Spider-Verse with
Yeah.
Miles Morales. It could be a hint to that's how he gets into the MCU as well, or any of those other.
I'm just hoping someone from this cartoon world falls out into the live action world. Like that's what I want to see, right?
That'd be pretty cool. We haven't seen that yet, so
yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You said X-Men and I got excited there.
I'm more excited for the X-Men than anything.
And it sucks too because I don't really. I watch these trailers on my phone at work when I don't have that much time, where I can't really rewatch it. And I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna go watch these trailers at home on my TV through YouTube, but then I come home, I'm tired, or I have other work to do, so I just forget to do it. So I don't really get to really examine the trailers or just like play point by frame or say like, hey, did I miss something? So it was cool you brought that up because I didn't really catch that at all.
Yeah, one thing. So I watch them on this. I have a huge screen here, and I like go through it and like, oh, I didn't catch that before.
He's lying. He sees it off the first viewing, and then he probably only watched it once. That was it.
He's the one who makes those videos on YouTube, like the Easter eggs with all the round circles, like pointing it out.
Yeah, no, there's that part where they're showing the when he's being brought in with handcuffs and stuff.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of chairs up there.
Oh.
And one of them actually looks like it could be Black Panther sitting down.
I did see that. I caught that where I looked briefly. I'm like, is that supposed to be Black Panther?
It did look like it feels like
it could be someone else. It could be like Mr.
Black Bolt supposed to come out as well.
Black Bolt's Illuminati. Who else is Illuminati?
Namor the Submariner.
Magneto is
Namor.
No, not Magneto. Obviously, Professor Iron Man.
Supreme
Iron Man, Namor, Black Panthers, obviously Strange.
Oh, that's right.
Mr. Fantastic.
I'm missing somebody. Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic.
So it could be any one of those. But in the other seat, it looked like there was a woman. It was someone with long hair. So, and in the poster for this movie, you actually see Captain Carter's shield in one of the like glass things. So maybe it could be her sitting with the Illuminati. I don't know.
Could be.
But then it's crazy how you bring that up too. With Mr. Fantastic, there was a poster where I think it's a poster or something like that where Mr. Fantastic is sitting and it shows like the emblem on the top of his left, you know, it's heck, and the only ones that do that is Fantastic Four.
That's true.
It could be that too.
Yeah. So it could be a variety of things. And then they had that one scene where the first few times I watched it, I just thought it was Captain Marvel, where it was like someone like flying around with like energy and like the energy face and stuff.
Could be Nova, because we know that they're going to be introducing Nova at some point.
Oh, Nova would be dope.
They also said that it could have been Superior Iron Man, but I thought more Nova. Nova is my pick.
More Nova, it would be awesome if they have.
I really, if they bring Superior Iron Man, I really hope it's not Tom Cruise. I think,
me too, bro.
I think this would be a really cool way to bring back Robert Downey Jr. Just to, even as a cameo, just bring him back for a little. He's a variant of himself. I think it would be really
that'd
dope.
be acceptable. That would be okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Especially with the history between him and Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they did throw Tom Cruise in here, especially. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, he was one of the primary, actors they wanted, right, for the Iron Man role.
Also, he's been trying to be a superhero since forever, and if not,
I mean, Ethan Hunt is a superhero. We can all agree on that, I think.
But he lobbied to actually be Batman in Batman Begins, and he didn't get it. And when
there's a height requirement, like a roller coaster.
I know, man. It's so sure. That's why he likes doing his own stunts, dog. He's like,
trying to get the Joker. Yeah, I was like,
he was trying to get the Joker?
Even worse.
Oh, yeah, no, I cannot see him as the Joker. Oh, hell no.
He could probably pull a penguin.
I can see like maybe a Thomas Elliott. He could be maybe a decent Hush. Maybe back then. I don't know so much
Hush.
about now, but Hush, I could see him as that. I don't know why I could see him as a Hush.
Note, my boy Ben Affleck is Daredevil. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm ready to see that red leather suit again. That's the true Daredevil suit to me. All leather.
I want to see how the X-Men are really incorporated into this. That's probably the thing that I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
Absent from the MCU.
Yeah.
And that and Spider-Man and X-Men are my two favorite things from Marvel. So I think it's about time. And then what I love about the X-Men is it's such a huge universe that they're almost like their own Marvel universe.
Yeah, they're just all mutants.
Yeah.
Exogene fellas.
Yeah. So there's this really popular theory around based off the trailer. I think New Rockstars originated it, but a lot of people are going along with it. That so have you all read House of M?
Yeah.
Right. So Wanda gets rid of all mutants, or but a few. So people are saying that the MCU timeline as we know it now is the timeline after Wanda already got rid of the mutants. So then Wanda would bring back the mutants at this point in time. And that's why she kind of turns into like the villain of the story.
So that'd
be awesome.
For why they haven't been around this whole time or why we haven't seen them.
Yeah.
And even in that trailer where she says, you break the rules, you're considered a hero. I break the rules and I'm a villain. You know, I think they focus on that. They put it in there so we could focus on it to put it in our mind where it's like, what does she mean by it? You know, like what is she really doing? That, you know, obviously she's using the dark code, so that's why she's turning all, you know, zombie looking lights. But it's just same with the Black Knight with the blade. You know, I think it's just the more you use it, the more consumed you are by evilness or bloodthirst. But it's a different way with the dark code, I guess I would say.
I really hope it's not that theory, because it kind of makes everything seem like it's kind of like that trope. Like, it was all a dream trope. Like I
don't really like that thing.
But yeah, it's a popular theory out there.
In Westview, that commercial, that trailer as well.
Yeah. The thing I really liked about this trailer is it reminded me of a quote from Elizabeth Olsen about this film and working with Sam Raimi, where she had said, this is from the summer, where she had said, it was odd going from WandaVision and bringing this character to a different film that felt more based on the Marvel films. It's a very scary movie. It's like old Sam Raimi. It's trying to create the scariest Marvel movie. And I definitely got those feels and those chills from that. And I think that was the thing that really excited me about this film, and knowing that all the things that were going to come with it, but just knowing that it was going to go a different route and incorporate horror as more of an element and more as something that was going to be tapped into. Especially because you have Sam Raimi handling this. I mean, this man understands horror to his core.
Not only that, it seems more realistic to the comic books. I feel like that's where it touches more into the comic books, where, you know, when someone turns bad or evil, villainous, it's a cool story to read, or you're intrigued by it.
Yeah. More so just because nowadays it feels like things are this market and this industry is becoming so saturated. I think this is going to be one of those things that's that breath of fresh air, especially that it doesn't feel like it's something Marvel would do, but to trust a visionary like him, like Sam Raimi, and say, okay, come and do this thing. Let's make it different. I think is something that's going to be very refreshing.
I mean, I love Sam Raimi. I think he's a brilliant director. So I am pretty excited. I didn't know that she had said that. I definitely get some scary vibes off it, but if she's saying like the old Sam Raimi, that's kind of hardcore. So
and this is PG-13, so I'm like, I don't think they're gonna go that route and have people, you know, chopping their limbs off and
limbs flying,
blood squirting all over their face, laughing maniacally.
Yeah.
But what about? I think the thing that I'm probably most wondering about is the future for Wanda and what they're setting up for. Because obviously she coming from Westview, where she's trying to be a little bit more low key and was looked at as a villain, especially with that being where she was at in the spotlight, and then to come to something where she's going to take on more of an antagonist role. What do you think is going to be the future with her? What are they setting up for?
She's going to marry Magneto.
Right. Yeah. I don't think she was going to go low key at all at the end of WandaVision. I got like the opposite feeling. I got from the end of WandaVision, I feel like she
has a bigger future.
Yeah, she finds herself. She's able to disconnect from Vision and say goodbye. And now she's doing stuff that she wants to do, and no one's gonna stop her. That was kind of the feeling I got from it, because it shows her like walking around outside, but then the actual like Scarlet Witch is inside reading the Darkhold and doing magic. So I feel like even in this trailer, the part where Doctor Strange is talking to her and she has like that cup of tea and she's drinking it, I think that's just her, like her projection of herself to the outside world while she's still doing like cynical stuff in the background. Like I think she's breaking the rules, and she doesn't care who wants to stop her. She's gonna break the rules because she wants to.
But I felt like she learned from that from Westview, just because she broke apart. But if she continued it, and just because she got how do you say, she's fiending for that Darkhold magic, I guess.
Maybe.
And if you put it in that way, like, damn, that's a whole different aspect that I wasn't even thinking about. I just felt like, not that she put it behind her, because obviously it's behind her head, because when the way Doctor Strange questioned her, like, oh, what did Vision tell you about this? And I straight out she called him Viz. Did she really say Viz a lot in the show?
In the show, she called him Viz a lot.
Yeah, she did, right? All right. Well, freaking so I don't know. I feel like you're right, Eric. I feel like you have making me think now from that point of view.
I see WandaVision as an origin story for a villain, not a redemption story for Wanda.
Yeah, you got a point.
Damn.
So and that's why I think, I mean, Doctor Strange is gonna have a run for his money if he's going up against Wanda. So what I see happening is Wanda, again, doing what she wants to do. She's probably gonna open some dimension, bring back her children, and Doctor Strange is gonna come try to be the cop and stop her. And that's where everything's gonna ensue. Like that's where you're gonna get the madness part, right?
I'm excited for her to lash with.
And I'm assuming that the Illuminati are gonna come in and bring Doctor Strange in, and all of them, the Illuminati, including Doctor Strange, are gonna try to stop Wanda. That's what I think is gonna happen, because that's what it'll take. Wanda is, like, by far in the comic books the strongest mutant, or at least or one of, right? Consistently at the top of the strongest mutants in Marvel Comics. So it would take someone like the entire group of Illuminati to stop her.
Definitely.
Did y'all hear that rumor too, or read that rumor that supposedly that while we've seen Doctor Strange in the handcuffs and all that, supposedly that after everything that's going on, the Illuminati wants to become the new focal point of the MCU. Does that make sense? Like, basically, our main superheroes as we know it, our Avengers, they're not going to be our main superheroes anymore. Yeah, I heard like that.
Well, Kevin Feige in a recent interview called Avengers Endgame the last Avengers movie. That's what he called it.
Mm-hmm.
He said that was our last Avengers movie. Of course, that doesn't mean there might be the Young Avengers, the West Coast Avengers,
the New Avengers,
bring back the Defenders, right? Like, there's a lot of other ways they can go, but I could see that. Like, I could definitely see them focusing more on the Illuminati and them trying to stop all this multiverse stuff from happening. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for it. I think it's slowly bringing in that anticipation again that I felt with Avengers Infinity War on the brink of coming, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what they're trying to do again.
Yeah. It feels that way. It definitely feels that way.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you said, with this Doctor Strange trailers and all that, your imagination just runs wild.
Definitely. Well, it drops in a couple months, so I guess we'll see if all these theories turn out to be true and what direction that the future of the MCU goes.
I think technically at least one more trailer is supposed to drop between now and
I would assume like one more.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool. You have to see Hugh Jackman there smoking a cigar and
they're gonna confirm the
Doctor Strange bub. I think that's my theory. But moving on from that, we finally got the season finale for Peacemaker. It was pretty awesome. Did you guys think that this was a satisfying conclusion to this series? To the first season, I'm sorry.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely?
It's awesome.
Bro, this could have easily been like a series finale. Like a lot of stuff was wrapped up. There's still some open. There's still some plots that are open, and if they continue, which you said they will continue, right?
Yeah.
It's just been greenlit, I think, like
Confirmed.
last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
No. They announced it like the day before it came out. Like they announced it on Wednesday.
I thought it was
dropping on midnight. So I'm pretty sure they wanted to build the hype.
Mm.
Going to the
For
finale
sure.
that, hey, you're watching the building of something new. It's not just a finale for the season.
Yeah.
I mean, by
exactly.
far, this is the best show on TV right now.
Definitely.
It is. I said it. I mean, like I said,
You said last time, yeah.
Just started. Yeah, I was like, it's the best show so far, and it really is. I mean, it's gonna be tough to top this. I mean, I already know there's a bunch of great shows that are gonna come out this year, but I mean, we won't know until they come out. But I feel like this is definitely my number one. It's on top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But
hard.
I'm excited for everything that's gonna come. I'll say that.
It's hard to know where this is gonna go because I mean I don't even know where to start or anything. But one of the things that we could talk about is Amanda Waller in Task Force X and her daughter exposing her to the world.
Mm.
Yeah, dude.
What does that mean for the daughter? To be honest, that scene at the end where she comes home to her wife, I swear I was waiting for like some really bad shocking.
Yeah, me too.
I thought, no,
Low-key.
her wife's brains were going to get like blown out right in front of her and then her dogs were going to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
I totally saw that happening only because I'm sorry. I know you're her daughter, but Amanda Waller is ruthless and heartless and a complete sociopathic monster who will do anything.
Borderline psychopath. I mean,
Yeah, borderline.
Let's be honest.
psychopath. Yeah, she's
But I think she knew that. I don't know if she knew that was her mom, but she already knew about Amanda Waller and having her work for her.
Yeah, but she
I
didn't.
mean, she didn't know all of the
What's
details
happening,
and all of the secrets. Obviously, Amanda Waller is a very ruthless, cunning person, so I doubt she shared all of those facets with her daughter.
I think the show, through what she went through events of the first season, I think she learned more about her mom. I think she might have been aware that her mom was, kind of corrupt and on the level, but I don't think she was aware up to the extent.
To the full.
The level of depravity.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that a big part of that too was her confronting Peacemaker with, out at the prison, like, your father is not a good man, Chris, and all of that. But then obviously them saying those little snippets about Amanda Waller, that was forcing her to confront the truth, maybe something that she felt she didn't exactly know, but something that she's felt knowing about everything that she's seen, like, damn, this is the kind of person my mother is. So I think that was also a big part of the story and a big reason like why they were able to collaborate and work so well with each other and establish such a good relationship.
From the beginning, too.
Yeah.
I feel like James Gunn did with these characters kind of what he did for Guardians of the Galaxy in a much more foul-mouthed manner.
For sure. Like, they're like family. They're going to argue, they're going to cuss, they're going to do all this and that, but it's all love in the end.
A group of misfits, kind of a ragtag team group of misfits, and it's very doubtful at first that these people are ever going to make a good team, but by the end you kind of care for all of them. They feel like a team by the end of this.
Vigilante is funny as fuck.
Vigilante. I think there are some nice moments between Hardcore and Peacemaker at the end after she gets shot. And to be honest, I thought she died.
That sucks.
I thought she was going to, honestly.
So that's going to be the big shocker for the season finale. I'm glad that they didn't do it, but I really love that moment together where they're at the end and they're holding each other's hands. And
very sweet, tender moment for sure.
Yeah, very, very sweet. I think this was just a very satisfying ending. A lot of interesting ideas raised, and it's I don't know what it says for the future of the Suicide Squad, because the whole Task Force X thing being exposed and Amanda Waller being on TV, I'm sure she can override that somehow.
Yeah.
I know, but that still puts her in more of a predicament than.
She's gonna go to some Doctor Strange type food and shit.
I mean, she could always run the Suicide Squad. I mean, if she gets locked up at Bel Rev, she can just run it from her cell or something. Obviously, the government just says, oh, this is all Amanda Waller's, but then they realize, hey, the stuff that she was doing, like, this is stuff off the books that we need, so go ahead, keep doing this thing, just run it from your cell. You'll just be locked up to the public.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I thought that the last battle was pretty badass.
Oh, so epic.
When they walked onto the field to the theme song that we've been hearing.
Yeah.
Credits play every time. So gory and so violent and so well shot and well choreographed. Really cool.
Yeah. What about did you guys expect the bugs, like their whole thing, did you expect that, like that why they came to Earth and that they weren't just bent on world domination because they're evil extraterrestrials, that they were actually trying? Did you believe that whole trying to save the planet and trying to steer this planet back on a trajectory that's going to allow a full functioning world that doesn't have to worry about disease or that isn't going to destroy itself? Did you guys buy that?
I like the twist. I liked it. I bought it. It's the whole. It's the whole. I was gonna say it's the whole Ultron idea, right? It was the same thing with Ultron. It's like I want to eliminate humans because they don't appreciate the world and what's in front of them.
Well, his whole thing was that he wanted humanity to evolve.
Exactly. Yeah. And their whole thing is they want the Earth to be habitable.
Wait, I think you made a connection though. Like, doesn't he talk about butterflies also? Like, don't they? Isn't that something like with a cocoon and a butterfly?
The evolution. Yeah.
A caterpillar hatching.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Ultron. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I just realized that right now, but
I mean,
that's why I thought it was believable, and it kind of made it interesting. It forced Peacemaker to make a choice that's hard for him because he's always like, I kill in the name of peace, but at this point it was like both things he did, whatever he did, it was going to be the wrong thing. But he makes the decision like he goes back to who he was originally. He makes the decision to like kill them all. It's like, I don't care. And then he gets his team. I forgot who said it. Who told him like you gave people the option to make their own choice.
Adebayo said that.
Adebayo said it. Yeah. So I think in the end it kind of like it gives Peacemaker that idea that okay, I'm growing and I'm making the right decisions now. And and instead of questioning himself after the decisions, because ever since what happened at the end of Suicide Squad, he's been questioning his decisions like throughout the show. Mm-hmm. Throughout the show, he questions it, right?
Especially in the beginning of the season where he's just crying sometimes and shit.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm kind of glad because I got the feeling when I was watching it that he actually considered what they were saying for a minute and thought it over and then decided against it. And ultimately, I think he made the right decision.
Yeah.
I think there's some truth to what they're saying about what their intentions and their goals are. But I also think that there's something a little more sinister underneath, a little bit more fascist and a little bit more controlling. So, yeah, I understand that they might have had a valid point, but world domination of bug people is not going to be the solution, and people need to
and apparently even amongst themselves they disagreed, right?
Yeah.
That's why
Myrn separating from them.
That's why Myrn was helping them. Yeah.
It's interesting too because in talking about this decision, writing this episode, James Gunn actually had said this: Peacemaker makes the ultimate sacrifice of perhaps the world. He sort of does the wrong thing for right reasons. He does the thing that's spiritually right for him because it's honest and true and authentic to himself, but it's also perhaps problematic and what's going to come next for all of us. And the interesting thing about all of this was that when writing all of this together, he actually had no idea how it was going to end. He didn't know what choice Peacemaker was going to make, whether he was going to help the butterflies, or whether he was going to kill the cow. So I think it wasn't until in developing this series and how it came about where he realized, hey, this is the decision he would make. And I think that's a really cool thing because it all develops naturally and organically. If you go by the story and like where he's come from the very beginning, maybe in the very beginning he would have made that choice. But now where he's at, seeing everything that he's gone through, all these experiences, and this leads him to this conclusion that he thinks is the best course of direction for him and the world. So I think that's a really cool thing where it all just happens organically and naturally and not like, oh, this is how it's going to be. Like, oh, okay, we'll see how this story goes, how it paces itself, the things that happens, and how things evolve. And I thought that was really cool. That's something that's very different.
I mean, what I found interesting is that, like, I think he made the right decision, but I think whatever decision he would have made is going to have some bad consequences to it. I feel like it was what makes it a tough decision is that either one could lead to disaster depending on what perspective that you look at it. So there's still going to be some consequences some fallout to what happens. But I still think that he made the right decision to not have it being ruled over by bug lords.
Well, especially since there was so many of those parallels between him and the butterflies, where he made a vow to uphold peace. they made a vow to uphold peace and do everything that they possibly could to save the planet. So when you have both of those things coming together, I think that really makes his sacrifice, what his choice, even that much more powerful.
I think so too. It also shows how much he's grown as a person because I forget what that bug's name was, but the butterfly
Goff,
that was occupying Goff. It was occupying Goff, but it was the one that he had.
Well, they still called it Goff as the butterfly Goff.
Goff. Okay, we'll call it the Goff butterfly. The way that at the end you see after he shoots Goff, you see the bug like crawling out and going away, and at the end of the series, the bug shows up by Peacemaker's trailer, and he feeds them and sits down with him peacefully.
Yeah,
and
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it shows like a kind of I don't know how to put it, but like a kind of maturity or reconciliation that he knows that he did the right thing, was wrong. He didn't agree with them, but he can still care for this being, this sentient being, so much that he still feels like a personal responsibility to feed him when he comes by, and he doesn't attack the bug. He could have done so many different things to it, but it just shows how much he's grown as a person. That violence is always going to be the answer for him.
Definitely.
Or that, you always keep your friends close, the enemies closer, right?
Or that too. that too.
Well, I mean, they're like the butterflies are gonna die. They don't have their cows, so they can't get their nourishment. So
yeah. I don't think they're gonna be coming back. But
I'm saying beware the bugs.
Beware the bugs. Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting that we got a little bit more of an insight into Economos. I thought to put that in the middle of this episode where it was, knowing where he's coming from and understanding him a little bit more, and then you see even Peacemaker lamenting and regretting how he's treated him, knowing that that's what he was dealing with, and a lot of insecurity. And I just felt like that was an interesting place to put it. It was also very powerful in understanding. And that was a character, when we seen him in the Suicide Squad, he was just a tech guy. Even though he wasn't in agreement with what Waller was doing, and even questioned her motives, like, oh, she was gonna kill his kid. Like, you were really gonna kill his kid, were you? And we knew that he wasn't just somebody blindly following orders or somebody who was just completely dispassionate. But I think we had a little bit more of an insight to him, and it really, to see a character like that and you care, and so humanistic, like a lot of those is really good to see, like where he's at now.
I mean, I honestly thought he was gonna die right there.
There's a few times I thought he was gonna die.
Because he's there's almost for a second I was like, dude, you're showing way too much human emotion to these creatures. It would be one thing if you dispassionately described it, but it sounded like a very heartfelt, like he sounded like he was holding back tears to me.
Oh yeah.
I knew that maybe this is my last moment alive. So the impression I got is like, maybe this might be the last moment alive. So if it is, I need to get this off my chest before I leave. And I was actually surprised that they bought it, and then just ended up, well, human beings could be pathetic sometimes. But I was pretty sure he was about to die.
I thought he was too.
You mentioned twice that you thought two different characters were gonna die. At one point, I thought Vigilante was gonna die, and I think it's really important to note that Myrn dies in an earlier episode, and that kind of gives you the idea that, oh crap, like any of these characters can actually die.
Yeah.
So I think that was purposely set up for these last two episodes, because then you feel like they're in real danger, like very real danger. Like at any moment, any of them can die. And I think that was really important with the suspense, especially with the final action scenes and how everything played out.
Yeah.
Like everyone going through, and like even like Adebayo, like Peacemaker telling them that the torpedo helmet will like kill you if you use it, and she goes and she uses it. I was like, oh man, she's gonna die, but then she crashes into a wall and she's fine. But like I feel like that was really cool, the way everything was put there, because I felt very actual suspenseful moments throughout the last episode.
I feel like the way that they shot, like especially Viz fought, like getting shot and then just limping over. I felt they shot those things in a certain way just to leave that open to interpretation. Or maybe we actually do want to kill him. We can save it if we decide to kill him in the editing room. Then we can just do it. Because, he just falls over, and then the net, like, at the very end of the battle, when Adebayo and Peacemaker, he's like, hey, guys, what's up? And I'm like, what?
That's so vigilante at the same time. But no, you make a good point, Eric. If they didn't do what they did, like in an episode before, I don't think it would have been as suspenseful. It showed you that no, we're not playing around. This is a dangerous world, and just because they're part of the main crew doesn't make them safe. And
Yeah,
exactly. It makes more realistic, you know.
Yeah.
Unlike
Yeah.
sometimes in
Yeah.
other superhero shows or movies where they survive. All of them survive after everything
Yeah.
they've been through. It's like, nah, man, you too lucky for that,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah,
Or
Gotta make it real.
it's even to the point where like someone dies and you're like, they're not dead. They'll come back.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How it makes you feel sometimes. Yep.
in
Yeah.
this one, you get the feeling, no, if they die, they're dead and they're not.
They're dead.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Did you guys
Unless
expect
they
the
pull a
Justice?
weasel.
Did you guys?
Police.
Did you guys expect the Justice League to make any?
Oh my
any
god,
appearance,
that was
or
awesome.
How cool
So
was that?
I thought it was funny. So they came in and they're like shadow figures. So like, oh, they're just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
it's
thought
funny.
so too.
Yeah.
But then you got the actual actors for Flash and Aquaman, and it was like, oh crap, that was hilarious. Like honestly, hearing Jason Momoa say "fuck you, Barry" was probably like the best line.
Yeah,
Because you know how many times he's wanted to say that, especially like Aquaman, like
For
has
sure.
wanted to say that to Barry, like throughout their history together. Like he's definitely wanted to say that multiple
Yeah.
times.
But only in the James Gunn R-rated stuff can he actually get away with saying
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So the
Yeah.
funny thing about that was James Gunn actually only reached out to Momoa to do that, but somehow word got back to Ezra Miller and he said, hey, I really want to do this too. So they're like, oh, okay. So he thought he was only going to be getting Momoa just because of that whole, I think that really makes it
Aquaman.
come full circle because of that Aquaman reference in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then having him come, I think that was a cool way to have that come full circle. But to include Ezra Miller too, and obviously you have stand-ins for Superman and Wonder Woman. That was pretty cool that they ended up showing that, especially in the beginning when she said to Waller, "Hey, can't you get the Justice League on this?" And they finally did show up after the battle.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a cool little way to do it. And then you have Momoa doing Momoa things and swearing, even though we haven't heard that from Aquaman.
I think it had to happen because I feel like in those movies, especially like in the Justice League and everything, they have this little thing going on with Aquaman and the Flash where they're like kind of like one-upping each other. There's like a little bit of a rivalry going on. And the Flash is such a smartass that he would make that type of joke. It's not a rumor though.
Hey, but that's good promotion. They had to use Urza because
the Flash
movie's coming out. You know what I'm saying? That's good promotion.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised. I really think that they didn't do that, especially to have two of them. I figured it would probably be too expensive to get like Gal Gadot there and Ezra Miller.
That's why the others didn't come out. But these guys, I think they did it for fun because I think I read an article where Jason was even excited about it, where he was like, once he got word on it, he was like, I'm on board right away. I'm with it.
I like that the actors involved are actually excited about what they're doing and happy.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes for these cameos, if they're really genuine about the part, they wouldn't mind doing it for free if they're not that busy. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I feel like this is one of those examples. I do not know the true facts, I should say. But I feel like this is one of those things where I think they just did it for fun because they could have, or they were in the area or something like that. You know?
So do you know that scene was shot by the Disney MCU crew?
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
It was because I forgot what it was, but he was calling them like for a favor because I think that DC let him do like a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 like test and use kind of their people to like shoot it while he was working on Peacemaker. So
that's awesome.
So it was kind of an exchange thing, like they owed each other.
Oh, it was for Myrn. For the actor that plays Myrn, the Guardians Volume 3 crew shot for him.
Okay.
And then he got Ezra with the Guardians Volume 3 crew also. So
yeah,
that's funny.
So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
By the MCU team.
That's pretty cool. And we had further confirmation about two characters, how they're not going to be around pretty much in the future. When in the Justice League, when James Gunn was asked why weren't Batman and Cyborg in the group, he said, I don't know what I can. There are reasons for it, but I'm actually uncertain whether I can say what those reasons are. It might have to do with future stuff.
Well, we know Cyborg's issues, but I mean, the rest.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at Batman's absence for one thing because they're going through this change that they're doing with Michael Keaton to Ben Affleck, and I think they want to wait until the Flash movie to reveal it. That like it would be confusing. So who do we put there? Do we put Ben Affleck? Do we put Michael Keaton? I think it's better.
And they do not want to do reshoots like MCU would do because DC can't afford it right now.
Yeah, I think it's fine just having Ezra and Jason Momoa. That's all we needed to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Gal Gadot's busy with some other movie.
It just sucks to really get further confirmation that we're not going to be getting Batman and Cyborg in the future, especially obviously because Ben Affleck is done, and then
no.
Well, it makes sense for Henry Cavill because he doesn't have a contract with DC anymore.
He's out,
right?
Yeah,
so that makes sense for Superman now to be there.
I mean, he was there just to stand in.
Well, I thought I meant him personally.
But Cyborg too, because Ray Fisher has that litigation in that case going against Warner Brothers. So it sucks because obviously where his story left off from the Snyder Cut, it left a lot on the table for this character and a lot more that we were excited to see with this character. So
I think there's too many legal battles and too much drama.
I think Gal Gadot is on a promotional tour right now. Isn't she coming out in a new movie? That's supposed to come out.
Some movie, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, so that makes sense for her not to be able to come out.
Look, I actually think Batman is going to be part of the DCEU.
But not Affleck.
This is not the...
It's going to be Michael Keaton, bro.
Cameo appearance is not the way that you're going to take care of it. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw. That's Michael Keaton in the new
Batman. Yeah, you can see the Emblem, the OG.
Well, I think it might be a stunt double, but the idea is that's what the suit is going to look
like. The OG Batman, yeah.
So, cool to see that old costume with the yellow emblem.
The yellow emblem, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe
where's my black shirt at? I know I had that OG.
Maybe we'll get a Batman cameo in season 2. I think that'd be pretty dope.
That'd be pretty cool.
After the Flash movie, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things I think about what this series did overall was we know it existed in the DCEU. We have a lot of references to Green Arrow, to Batman, to Riddler, to Mad Hatter, Kite Man too in the newspaper clipping. But what I thought that the show did really well was that it didn't rely on those references or always seek out a reference or plant one in the dialogue. I thought a lot of it happened organically and naturally. Like, we should shoot an arrow to the barn. Oh, like Green Arrow. No, not like Green Arrow. And I feel like those little things, like it's cool because you know of something that exists further beyond Peacemaker, but it's still self-contained to its own story and its own universe. So I really appreciate those things to where you don't have to always have constant references and dialogue or always a constant reminder that, the DCEU and other characters, but that things also happen naturally and organically and are flowing in that way. So that was really cool, I thought.
That's a perfect example because I felt like when he said, no, not Green Arrow, he was talking about Hawkeye, a reference to Hawkeye.
Well, DC.
I know, but is what I'm saying because you know how, I don't know if you noticed, there's some references in MCU movies where it relates to DC.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
they talk about Batman and Superman.
Yeah, so I feel like he's like, they shoot it like Green Arrow. No, he's like, no, not Green Arrow, and he didn't necessarily say it, but it could have been like, Hawkeye. Hawkeye just came out too.
I mean, I don't know if that's what it is, but this is the way I look at it. If they exist in each other's universe, in the Marvel universe, DC is like the fictional comic book superheroes of their universe, and in the DC universe, Marvel would be the fictional comic book characters of.
Because there are references on each end. You just gotta catch them and pay attention.
I like that, but I'm glad that they finally did that. It's just because, I mean, I like the idea of, like, DC still doing their own things, but one of the coolest things in comic book movies recently has been seeing how the MCU has brought all of this together and made a unified comic book universe. It's not always perfect, but I think that it's exciting to see that kind of representation. So I'm hoping that this is hinting that in the future, after that Flash movie comes out, they'll finally have their shit together where we'll have a somewhat cohesive DC universe.
For sure.
Oh, just stay a scrambled mess.
Or stay a scrambled mess.
Either you'll have your gold in a sea of shit or something like that.
If it ends up being a scrambled mess, the only thing that I could hope for, if it's a scrambled mess, at least have the individual parts. If they don't add up, at least make them as good as Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think the thing with me is, while the show is really great, but what I worry about for the future is that this was James Gunn's baby. He was a visionary. He was the showrunner. He directed a lot of episodes. He had a lot of creative input into the show, and I think that's why it was as good as it was. So while this was very good, I think other things are going to need that kind of visionary, and I just don't know if people have that same kind of creative mindset or that same kind of passion that he does. I mean, not that it's not hard to find, but I just feel like...
I will say that I like the director that they have for the Flash movie, Andy Muschietti, because I liked what he did with the It movies. I think they had a really interesting take on that, and he seems like he's pretty passionate about it. I'm pretty optimistic for the future that we are having. I'm hoping that Warner Brothers has kind of learned their lesson, because it seems like the people involved with future projects seem genuinely excited to be a part of it. It's not just a job. It's not just a job to them.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they didn't feature Batman and Cyborg shows you that there is some kind of plan for the DC's future, that even though this was his idea, he still had to conform to some continuity of the universe. Otherwise, if he didn't, he could have just threw whoever he wanted in the finale. He could have thrown...
True that, but he knew what he was doing with that, because we already know the new Batman movie's coming now, and we don't want too much Batman sometimes either, you know. We're gonna get sick and tired of him before he even...
I do.
I never get enough Batman.
Well, I'm a Marvel kind of guy. But I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, excuses for certain things happening for sure. We just don't know. But see, that's the thing. I think DC is doing it right by this point, because they're moving in the right direction. I say, because I'm intrigued, bro, and that's saying a lot. Like, as a Marvel fan, you know, I don't have a lot to say when it comes to DC. I'm intrigued, you know. So
you say that
me intrigued.
Superman
going the right direction.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
I said Superman over Batman, bro. I said that from the beginning of Superheroes and Mutant Podcast. But then I also said Wolverine and you remember why I said Superman? I cracked my head open because I was running in my Superman undies. Remember that story I said at the beginning?
Yeah.
Superman over Batman, bro. That's me.
Go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say I'm kind of just going along with what Ruben was saying. They really need to take this show and the Suicide Squad movie as a blueprint moving forward.
Exactly.
Like they really need to see, like, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be the same level of like humor or gore or anything, but it needs that fan service to be successful. And they need to know who the DC fans are and what they want. Right? They can't just use these same formulas that Marvel was doing. They need to go in their own lane, create their own lane. And that's essentially what Peacemaker did and what Suicide Squad did, and what James Gunn was able to accomplish. So I think if they continue on that path, I mean, we're going to get some good quality movies and shows coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just a little bit cautious, just because it's not, now I think that they're starting to get the right people involved who are helming these projects, writing these projects, visionaries, but I just am hoping that continues, and they don't have to, you know, where we have to rely on James Gunn churning out these kind of projects, or only him, and getting those other kind of visionaries, or people that are, or those that are passionate too. And it's just
Gunn is involved in the Batgirl movie, right?
Who is?
James Gunn.
I don't think so. Maybe producing, but I don't know. I don't know who's directing. I can't even think off the top of my head. But
I need to look this up, because I could have swore I thought he had more involvement in it.
Well, I mean, the way he's doing his work
they just need to make James Gunn the Kevin Feige of DC.
Hey, I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
I wouldn't be mad about that at all.
Oh, it's a directing team. Bilal Fala and Adil El Arbi. It's a directing team that is directing it.
Well, regardless, whether his involvement or not, but it sounds dumb because I know that it's going to be so different, but it got me, seeing the end of Peacemaker got me excited for Batgirl.
Interesting.
Why? I don't know.
Okay.
Now I'm looking forward to it.
What would you guys want to see in season 2?
I want to see, I'm excited that his dad is still in it as like a ghost. I kind of want to see that flesh out a little bit more and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's what tripped me out at the end of the last episode.
Yeah, and obviously
showed up on the porch. I was like, what?
Yeah, I want to see. It'd be cool to get more Amanda Waller in it. I think it'd be really cool to see her perspective on just like the fallout of what's gonna happen with what Adebayo said at the end of the show.
And they should give her her own soul series about her origin story.
Yeah,
how she came to be. I feel like they can do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see a fallout. Maybe like she puts together her own team and they go up against Adebayo's team, and I think that'd be really dope too. Like, there's a lot that can still happen. It's so open ended.
Her and Weasel gonna team up, bro.
No Weasel. No more Weasel. We had enough.
I'm kind of curious what Adebayo.
He's gonna come back, bro. Trust me.
What I want to see explored in season 2 is what's gonna happen with Adebayo and her mom, and what it's gonna do to her relationship.
There's gonna be a clash for sure. It's like any other, someone taking over the family business. Oh, I want to do it my way. No, you gotta do it this way.
It's gonna be a test to see how human Amanda Waller is, because I have my serious doubts. But to see if she
has a robotic heart
that she'll. I don't know that she'd kill her daughter. I don't know, but I definitely want to see where that goes. I think that was probably the most intriguing thing that they left out in the open, is the exposure of Amanda Waller and the clash it's going to have with her and her daughter, who is obviously a much better human being than her mother is.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard the stories like this before, where people gotta prove themselves just because of their parents' doing.
Yeah.
It does make sense though, Jimmy. I didn't think about it that way.
What do you think, Nick?
I could see it would be interesting if Adebayo would be taking over Amanda Waller's position. Like maybe the government, like she's the patsy for the government. Oh, she was doing this inhumane projects and taking on these government contracts and doing these black ops operations without our knowledge. It was all her. But obviously they obviously realize the importance in what she was doing and keeping it all off the books, and them going to Adebayo and be like, hey, I know that you have your qualms and your doubts about this, but this is very important for not only America, but for the world. So I can see her trying to reel her in to become the director of this new Task Force X, and her just trying to be more compassionate and not be inhumane and cruel and ruthless. So I think that would be an interesting
job. I don't know if that job is good for. I don't know if that job is going to be suited for somebody who's
but I think she's going to see the importance in it, and I think it's going to be her way to try to not be cruel and ruthless and to try to do it in a better way. I think that would be an interesting angle to take on.
When I think about
also we know that and she says right before she charges into battle that I'm made for this shit. So she's not gonna quit and not gonna.
Well, she said that from the beginning. She's never not said like I can't do this, I can't do that.
No, well, she was having her doubts in the beginning, like questioning whether she could do it. So to go from where she was in the beginning to looking back to Economos and being like, I'm made for this shit, and charging into battle with her guns and shooting the butterflies. That was
basically what I meant. She never doubted her talent. She knew she has the talent. It's just what you're capable of executing, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, when she's made for that shit, that could mean a couple of things. That she could either meant directly for this job or for fighting for the greater good.
Exactly.
For the greater good.
So different.
Yeah, but I think it would be an interesting angle to see her take over her mom's position and trying to try to do it in a better light, in a more compassionate
or more manipulative way.
Who knows? Or it could be her way to become more ruthless and taking on that mantle of what her mom was, or what turned her mom into who she was.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you guys rate this series as a whole out of 10?
9 right now.
Yeah, I was thinking 9 also. Yeah.
Solid 9 for me too.
Solid 9.
9 all around. Yeah.
Just great all around. If you guys haven't checked out Peacemaker, make sure you can actually binge watch it all in its entirety. 8 episodes. Season 2 is coming probably sometime next year. Well, we're gonna have to wait because James Gunn is filming Volume 3 for Guardians, and after that, he's probably gonna take a little bit of a break. But he did say that what he's gonna be prioritizing more is television. So, and we know he's going to be doing another spin-off series for, I think, a Suicide Squad member. So more stuff to come from him for DC.
Not Weasel.
Who's directing I Am Groot?
I mean, I'm sold with the
I-
television thing because I mean, and it's not just James Gunn and DC. It's Marvel too. I feel like the miniseries or the not just miniseries, but just the series format in general really serves these characters very well. I think it serves the rich mythology that you have in DC and Marvel very well because these stories are so in the comic books. There's so much to them. There's so many layers and so many different characters and so many different arcs that I think that the best way to. I mean, we're gonna get movies. Obviously, we're gonna get awesome movies. But I like that we've entered the television stage because I feel the storytelling is a little bit more nuanced. It's a lot more detailed. I think we get a lot more out of it when we are able to explore things over 8 hours as opposed to like 2.5 hours or something.
An example of that is Harcourt and Peacemaker's relationship.
Yeah.
Knowing from where they started at the beginning of the series till now, and that really that was also something that was very intriguing for James Gunn.
Yep.
For sure.
But yeah, make sure you guys check out Peacemaker. It is awesome. Really good show. Definitely highly recommend it. 9 out of 10 from all of us, I think.
All around, yeah.
So, with all that being said, that is the Heroes and Mutants podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Follow us on IG at Heroes and Mutants podcast. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell your friends about us. We'll see you next time. Thank you guys so much. Signing off.
Yep.
See you.